Hello and welcome. Tonight, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says 414,000 people have been affected, with 37 dead in the Borno State flood disaster. NEMA says search and rescue operations are still ongoing. Health Minister Professor Ali Pate assures the nation that emergency medical supplies will be dispatched to Maiduguri in the next 3 days. Professor Pate tells Channels Television exclusively that efforts are being made to replace over 2 million doses of vaccines lost to the floods. And 17 out of 18 political parties contesting the September 21st Edo State governorship election signed a peace accord ahead of the election, as the Edo State PDP chairman Tony Azegbemi and the party's candidate Aswe Ighodalo declined to sign.
And on business news, Naira strengthens against the dollar following record oversubscription of federal government's domestic dollar bond.
On sports news tonight, the Minister of Sports Development, John Eno, declares open the 8th National Youth Games at Sabah, charges athletes to embrace the spirit of sportsmanship.
With King Charles at Buckingham Palace for a private meeting highlighting the enduring and cherished relationship between Nigeria and the United Kingdom.
And in international news from London, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says 6 of its employees have been killed in an Israeli airstrike on one of its schools in Gaza.
The National Emergency Management Agency says 414,000 people have been affected and 37 have died in the Borno State flood disaster, with search and rescue operations still ongoing. The state government has activated 9 internally displaced persons camps, deployed additional staff to support rescue efforts, provided water purification equipment and critical search and rescue tools. The Director General of NEMA, Zubaida Umar, disclosed this at the National Emergency Coordination Forum meeting in Abuja. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, reports.
This meeting is at the instance of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, on the recent flood in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Stakeholders in the control and management of natural disasters are attending the meeting. The National Emergency Coordination Forum meeting was convened to receive updates on the flood situation and to assign roles and responsibilities to all stakeholders.
The main reasons for convening this meeting, therefore, is to receive updates on the flood situation from various agencies here present and to assign roles and responsibilities to all stakeholders to ensure we're all on the same page.
According to NEMA, 29 states and 172 local government areas have been impacted by flooding, affecting over 1 million persons, displacing over 600,000 and resulting in the death of 259 lives. For Maiduguri, the epicenter of the latest flood disaster, figures from the agency shows that over 414,000 persons were affected, with 389,000 displaced persons and 37 deaths.
As part of ongoing efforts, internally displaced camps have been activated in some states, most especially with the recent one, Borno, that we have seen. The state government has been very proactive, and so far they have about 9 IDP camps. Additional staff have also been deployed to support search and rescue operations. We have also deployed water purification and critical search and rescue equipment to affected states, especially Borno, being the most recent, while food and non-food items are also being provided to support the affected persons. To complement these efforts, plans are underway to provide additional relief intervention, including medical consumables and medicaments.
People responsible for dams should ensure the integrity of these facilities, because if the integrities are not strong enough, this is what we will continue to experience. And we have done our bit in this year, and I am sure that what is happening now is not just as a result of the rains alone, but probably the managers may not have done exactly what they were supposed to do in terms of ensuring the integrity of the dams, and of course making sure that probably the dams were released little by little so that such devastations might not occur the way they have.
The agency plans to focus on immediate relief efforts for the victims while implementing long-term strategies to improve flood management, enhance infrastructure resilience, and strengthen early warning systems. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pate, has assured the nation that emergency medical supplies will be dispatched to Maiduguri in the next 3 days in response to the flood disaster. In an exclusive interview with Channels Television, the Health Minister, who has visited the state to assess the situation, notes that the ministry is working hard to replace over 2 million doses of vaccines already lost to the floods to halt a significant outbreak of vaccine-preventable diseases.
I was fortunate yesterday to visit Maiduguri and to see firsthand the situation. It's a major humanitarian crisis with displacements of hundreds of thousands of people. I can see the public health implication of this in terms of poor sanitation, drinking contaminated water. You can easily see outbreaks of diseases. We lost about 2 million doses of vaccines that were in a cold store that were exposed and to temperature more than 30 degrees Celsius, and those are lost. We have some reservoir of commodities on the ground, 123,000 doses of anti-malarial treatment already in Maiduguri, almost 23,000 doses of intravenous artesunate for malaria, which is in Maiduguri already, 240,000 rapid diagnostic test kits for malaria that is already in Borno. Expectation of bed nets that will be coming over the next couple of weeks. We see the acute needs. Then there are medium and longer term needs which will become evident as the floods recede and the extent of the damage becomes clearer. Right now, in the fog of the acute flood disaster, what we're trying to do is to prevent as much as we can the worsening of the situation. Because if disease outbreaks occur, it will be a lot more expensive to deal with them when they have spread among the population. So that's why we're trying to forestall them. Having clean water, having antibiotics, antimalarials, having vaccinations, so that people have their immunity boosted while they're getting food and the psychological, psychosocial support that they also need in times such as this. And don't forget, there are many women who just delivering children, are pregnant, advanced pregnancies that they need to be catered. There are young children who are already sick who need to be catered for. Through our partners, I think there are about 200,000 doses of chlorine tablets that have been relocated from another state in the northeast to Maiduguri to enable people purify their water, as we are placing orders for additional things. As we speak, in the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, we're mobilizing emergency procedures to be able to mobilize additional commodities so that we can get them delivered.
Let's talk politics now. Well, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, have declined to sign the peace accord ahead of the Edo State governorship election, mediated by the National Peace Committee in Benin City, the Edo State capital. 17 political parties and their candidates signed the peace accord, committing to maintaining peace before, during, and even after the election on September the 21st. The Edo State chairman of the party, Mr. Anthony Azegbemi, explains that the party is declining to sign the accord because 10 members of the party are being detained by the police.
Members of the National Peace Committee, led by former military head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, arrive at Sir Victor Owaifo's event center in Benin City for the signing of the Edo State governorship election peace accord. This is the second time that parties and their candidates are committing to a peace accord since 2020, when the National Peace Committee first mediated a similar exercise in the build-up to the 2020 governorship election in the state. The chairman of the National Peace Accord sets the tone for the day's event, stressing the critical role of peace to development.
Today, as we stand on the gateway of yet another critical election in Edo State, we urge all political actors and stakeholders to commit themselves to the cause of peace in Edo State.
The INEC chairman and the Inspector General of Police gave assurances to the political parties and their candidates of neutrality and professionalism.
For us in INEC, at the election management body, I want to assure political parties and candidates that we'll continue to play our part according to the law and best practice as articulated in the clauses of the National Peace Accord that we are about to commit ourselves to.
We will remain impartial, professional, and vigilant while providing a level playing ground for all the political parties and their candidates.
Our core party. We have the state chairman.
Next is the core of the day's event, the signing of the peace accord. Political parties and their candidates are called in alphabetical order for the signing.
Yes, thank you. People's Redemption Party, chairman and candidates.
Significantly, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party was absent at the event. The state's chairman of the party was in attendance and he refuses to sign the peace accord.
People's Democratic Party, chairman and candidates.
As you might have seen in the media, I met the governor yesterday and he told me the PDP are not going to sign this peace accord. They have made some observation, and I was expecting the chairman of the PDP to come and make that statement.
Believe the world, anywhere, anyone in the world will agree with us.
Outside of the hall, he explains the reason for the party's decision.
This is the wife of the Honorable Chairman Esama West, Honorable Collins Agbogo, that was whisked away 4 days ago, 4 a.m. in the night, by the police. Gentlemen of the press, if it were you as a political party, will you, in good conscience, sign that peace accord?
Again, outside the venue of the ceremony, women groups are staging a protest. Their message is directed at the Inspector General of Police, calling for a peaceful election in the state.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party says it has plenty of respect for the National Peace Committee, but insists on certain conditions before signing the peace accord for the September 21st governorship election. Addressing journalists at the party secretariat in Benin City, the Edo State capital, the governorship candidate of the PDP, Asue Ighodalo, believes that all the relevant stakeholders can still retrace their steps and instill confidence in the contesting political parties. The state chairman of the PDP, Mr. Tony Azegbemi, however, calls for the immediate release of all arrested persons of the party.
I'm hopeful that the recent observations and commentary that we've raised will cause those that have not ensured a level playing field to rethink and to put back a level playing field. In fairness, I feel that all of our agencies, when we properly identify what the issues are, where the problems are, can retrace their steps. And I think that people want, or people should want, an environment in which the free will of the people of Edo State is properly and effectively expressed, and it's not in any way subverted.
The immediate and unconditional release of all persons currently in unlawful custody, or all these persons, if alleged to have committed any crime, should be immediately brought before the court, which the IGP has done this morning, but not all of them. Not all of them were brought to court in compliance with all civilized constitutional processes. The current resident electoral commissioner, INEC, should also be withdrawn, and they should be replaced with persons who can exhibit fairness and balance in the performance of their functions and who do not have any links to the contending parties of vested interest in the process. 3, the immediate recall of any external police team squads from Abuja or any other location in Nigeria currently marauding in Edo State illegally, arresting perceived political opponents and creating undue tension in the state.
In part two after the break, bandits killed 3 soldiers and 4 policemen in an attack on the Zamfara highway earlier today. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasted live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says 414,000 people have been affected, with 37 dead in the Borno State flood disaster. NEMA says search and rescue operations are still ongoing. Health Minister Professor Ali Pate assures the nation that emergency medical supplies will be dispatched to Maiduguri in the next 3 days. Professor Pate tells Channels Television exclusively that efforts are being made to replace over 2 million doses of vaccines lost to the floods. 17 out of 18 political parties contesting the September 21st Edo State governorship poll signed a peace accord ahead of the election, as the Edo State PDP chairman Tony Azegbemi and the party's candidate Asue Ighodalo declined to sign. And the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says 6 of its employees have been killed in an Israeli airstrike on one of the schools it runs in central Gaza. Still talking politics in Edo State, where the All Progressives Congress, APC, has promised to address peculiar challenges in Onwa West local government area, even as the party is seeking support in next week's governorship election. The APC campaign team took this message round wards in Sobe, Sabongidora and Uzeba, where it held campaign rallies.
Ward 11 members of the APC and party supporters in Sobe, Onwa West local government area turn out early for the APC campaign rally in the area. The party's governorship candidate, Monday promises to tackle challenges in different sectors, ranging from education to healthcare, among others, if elected in the 21st September governorship election.
Women, market women, good news for now. We will give market women loan, interest-free loan, to give market women, so that they will be able to go to market and fight for their family. By the grace of God, once we win, issue of insecurity will be over. We will provide you with security. We must make sure that all the kidnappers will not live in our land because they are not from here.
Aside from promises, however, the people are encouraged to come out to vote.
On the 21st, if you vote for APC, you vote for Akomisa and Denko. Mondo Pawolo and Denis Idaosa. On the 21st, people that come out with a PVC.
Former Governor Adams Ushomole maintains that there would be no room for unlawful conduct from any quarters on election day.
Anybody who use offensive weapon or intimidate another person, report to the local police. If the local DPO is compromising, tell us. Because the IG has warned that nobody should use weapons to intimidate, harass, or brutalize any Nigerian.
Then it's the turn of Sabongida Ora, where wards 2, 3, and 4 members of the APC are assembled.
I'll go to the river and I'll go fish.
Some members of the party who followed the campaign train through wards around the 3 senatorial districts of the state over the past few weeks gave their impression.
People have been coming out en masse, and that goes to tell you that there's a thirst for a change in what the situation is, because the economy of Edo State needs rescue, and only Senator Monday Pueblo and Right Honorable Dennis Idaosa can bring the change and the rescue that Edo State needs.
Development will come to Edo. They will benefit from the administration of Senator Monday Pueblo.
Uzeba Town, with wards 5, 6, 7, and 8 members, was another spot for the day's campaign rally before it closed for the day.
A Labour Party faithful and supporters in Edo State have been advised to ensure that their votes count right from the polling units by waiting to watch the ballots being counted after they cast their votes on September the 21st. The governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, who joined the Labour Party campaign rally in Benin City, the Edo State capital, also told supporters of the party to remain confident that victory is certain, as their candidates are sure to win the election with the people's support. Mr. Oti, who along with the party's governorship candidate, Olumide Akpata, deputy governorship candidate, Yusuf Kadiri, and other leaders of the Labour Party, rode through major streets as they visited markets in the Edo State capital, assuring residents that the Abia model of governance would be adopted by the party candidates in Edo State if elected.
In Abia State, we didn't sleep for 4 days. So if you go to sleep, they will stay your vote. So my coming here is not to convince you to vote, because I know you will vote. My coming here is to let you know that you must protect your vote, so that you can begin to enjoy the template of Labour Party. It is the template of Labour Party that we are implementing in Abia State. And I can assure you that Olumide and Kadiri will implement the same template in Edo State.
Edo will be okay for Ndigbo. I think no. Edo will be okay for Arewa. Edo will be okay for Ndi Yoruba. Edo will be okay. Yes, oh yeah. Edo will be okay for Edo. We will make sure it's good for everybody.
Ahead of the Edo and Ondo State governorship elections, leaders of the Accord Party have commenced a re-strategizing exercise to reposition the party. The leaders, led by the national chairman of the party, Mr. Chris Imomole, met with stakeholders of the party from the Southwest Zone to brainstorm on steps to be taken towards recording success in the polls. Mr. Imomole says the objective of the meeting is to chart a way forward towards achieving success and ensuring that the Accord Party becomes the choice of Nigerians.
What we are doing is to make sure that we harmonize the party, because there have been a lot of disgruntled activities over the past years. There have been a lot of members who have been expelled from the party. There have been a lot of intimidation by past leaders. So we are doing a lot of correcting now, because a political party is one that needs everyone to come together so as to build a formidable platform that will help our party at least contest and contend in the next election. So we are looking at all these issues. We are looking at issues of local government elections that is already ongoing and upcoming. We are looking at issues of states that we have gubernatorial elections. How do we participate effectively and ensure that Accord have a good show?
All right, so let's return to Borno State and address northeast, where the state has been experiencing devastating floods. Well, the survivors of the Maiduguri flood have been recounting their experiences as they take shelter in temporary camps across the state capital. Business owners also count their losses. Some markets, like the Gamboru perishable market, which was completely submerged by the flood, has temporarily been relocated to a stadium.
The Maiduguri flood situation started last week Thursday when houses along the riverine areas experienced excess water flow into their homes. By Monday this week, most areas along the waterways and flood-prone areas were already flooded. By Tuesday morning, houses, markets, shops and public infrastructure were already submerged. Hundreds of thousands of residents escaped the flood with little or no belongings. While some slept on the streets, others relocated to relatives living in safer locations. The state government directed all affected victims to take shelter in camps and schools while the floods receded. Some of the survivors who made it to the camps recount their experience.
We were home when they called to inform us that flood had submerged Budum. I have relatives there. While on my way there, I was called back that my area has been flooded too.
Search and rescue operations commenced on Wednesday as the flood continued to recede. By Thursday, September the 12th, the waters had receded in most locations, while some parts of the cities were still combating the floods. As regards economic activities, some shop owners recount their experience after the floods.
It was around 2 a.m. that we got the information, according to the sources of the people that told us that a flood has started coming to take over our area.
At least more than 500 shops are affected. And you know that some shops are there with 2 people, 3 people inside the same shop. So if you calculate more than 500 shops by human beings, you will find out that people will be more than 1,000 people.
I
make more profits. This is because those that were trapped by the flood, when they are rescued, will pay us higher fares to take them to safer places.
To provide for their families, survivors continue with their trade in the camps. Owing to the blockage of the major connecting roads across the state capital, the Biu-Damboa road has experienced increased vehicular movement, causing traffic jams as some of the camps, perishable markets, and other businesses have shifted to that axis of the city.
Let's talk security. The Nigerian Air Force has recovered 28 bodies after the air component of Operation World Punch conducted a highly successful air interdiction mission on September the 11th, with several more terrorists, weapons and burnt motorcycles still being cleared in Shiroro local government area of Niger State. A statement signed by the Deputy Director of Public Relations and Information of the force, Group Captain Kabir Ali, says the mission targeted terrorists in Bassa upon receipt of a request for air support from friendly forces in the area. The statement explains that upon arrival, Nigerian Air Force air assets observed over 100 terrorists engaging friendly forces in a fierce firefight, and after confirming the positions of the friendly troops, the NAF conducted precision airstrikes on the terrorist positions. The statement adds that the strikes were devastating, neutralizing dozens of terrorists. 3 soldiers of the Nigerian Army and 4 personnel of the Nigeria Police have been killed while repelling bandit attack on the Zamfara highway earlier today. Confirming the incident to newsmen in Guzo, the Zamfara State Commissioner of Police, Mohammed Delijan, said the bandits had planned to attack a construction company working along the highway and abduct some of their workers. He said joint security forces of the Nigerian Police and the Army mobilized to the scene, but unfortunately, the bandits laid an ambush and opened fire on them.
The bandit had wanted to enter into Setarako camp to abduct some staff of the Setarako company. We had the information, we sent our men not knowing that they have laid ambush on the road. And as they were going into the company, they met heavy resistance from these bandits. They opened fire, exchanged gun fire. In the process, we lost 3 soldiers and 4 policemen.
Still ahead on the news at 10. Naira strengthens against the dollar following record oversubscription of federal government's domestic dollar bond. But that's on Business News. Join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10. Well, let's head to the nation's capital now, where Terry Ikumi is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Terry.
Thank you very much, Ayo. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has met with British monarch King Charles at Buckingham Palace, United Kingdom. This was disclosed in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. According to the statement, President Tinubu's visit is aimed at strengthening diplomatic ties with the United Kingdom. He reiterated Nigeria's firm commitment to addressing climate change in a manner that aligns with the country's energy security objectives, whilst affirming Nigeria's readiness to adopt global strategies for sustainability. The United Kingdom royal family also confirmed the visit, posting a photograph of the 2 leaders at Buckingham Palace. This will be the two leaders' first meeting since they met in Dubai at the COP28 Climate Summit last year. The latest meeting is said to be at the King's request. Meanwhile, the federal government has signed the Cape Town Convention Practice Direction aimed at reducing the cost of airline operations in the Nigerian aviation sector. The signing was done during a stakeholders meeting of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Our State House correspondent, Empress Simon, reports.
This meeting of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the State House, Abuja, is for the signing of the Cape Town Convention Practice Direction, which regulates aircraft leasing across the world. The Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, signed the document on behalf of the federal government. This move by the federal government is expected to enable domestic airline operators to dry lease aircrafts, an arrangement which involves hiring an aircraft without a flight crew. The Vice President sees it as a milestone achievement in the aviation sector in Nigeria.
The present administration, headed by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a pro-business government, is a pro-Nigeria government, and will take all necessary measures, as painful as some might be, to protect, promote, project, and preserve the interests of the Nigerian nation. Be rest assured that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is keenly interested in the promotion and preservation of the Nigerian airline industry.
Stakeholders in an interview with State House correspondents say this achievement will enhance a positive change in the aviation sector.
The President has inadvertently increased the capacity of the Nigerian airlines in the aviation space. So a message has been sent to the entire aviation world by President Ahmed Bola Tinubu that the Nigerian airline industry is good to go.
Because Mr. President is really committed to addressing challenges one by one, this is one of the fruits of what he has done. And I just want to thank Mr. President for his attention to ease of doing business and making sure that Nigeria is a progressively easier place to start and grow a business.
They are also optimistic that this latest feat will reduce the cost of insurance for airlines and restore investors' confidence in the nation's aviation sector. From the Presidential Villa, Empress Simon, Channels Television News.
The Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, says it has helped to facilitate over $100 million into the Community Trust Fund for host oil-bearing communities in the Niger Delta region. According to the Commission's Chief Executive, Mr. Gbenga Komolafe, an additional 60 billion naira has also been facilitated. However, to mitigate the myriads of court cases preventing the effective utilization of these funds, the NUPRC has inaugurated a body of neutrals as members of the Alternative Dispute Resolution Center in Lagos. Our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, brings us this report.
As the body of the neutral mediator, you solemnly affirm that I will discharge of my duties with government at all times by the principle of legality. So help me God. So help me God.
A new body comprising retired judges, lawyers, oil and gas experts, the academia, being sworn in as body of neutrals, an initiative of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission to drive efficiency in Nigerian upstream oil and gas sector. By the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, on the matters of host community funds, so far 60 billion naira and additional $100 million have been facilitated by the Commission. But guess what? Disputes and extended lawsuits are hampering the utilization of the funds. These neutrals will work at the Alternative Dispute Resolution Center of the NUPRC to resolve such disputes.
This esteemed group of professionals embodies the core values of impartiality,
expertise, professionalism, and dedication. After meticulous review and thorough consultation, I am pleased to announce that the body of neutrals comprises of eminent professionals, as you've all listened to them when they were making their introduction, with expert knowledge and technical experience in the oil and gas industry. Members include lawyers, retired judges, oil and gas industry experts, and other subject matter experts.
According to the Commission, by offering alternative avenues for dispute resolution, doors are now being opened to swift, equitable, and less adversarial processes in the industry. This approach, they say, not only benefits the parties involved, but also alleviates the burdens on the overextended judicial system.
We are taking the next step after this inauguration. We will engage the judiciary to ensure that the decisions, the awards made by this body of neutral will have judicial force. So we are taking steps to do that. And once we achieve that, disputants will find it, yes, they'll find it easier, not only finding it easier, but they'll find it necessary to engage the ADR center to resolve their disputes rather than just going through the mainstream judicial process to go and anchor issues and ensure that, there's no progress.
A new stare, a new thinking. The body of neutrals are set to commence work immediately from the Lagos Center, and hopefully the industry should witness a reduction in suit numbers and case files in the days ahead. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Let's go back to Lagos now.
Thank you so much, Terry. The founder of the first private university in Nigeria, Igbinedion University, Okada, businessman, philanthropist, and the Esama of Benin Kingdom, Chief Gabriel Igbinedion, is 90. A special interdenominational Thanksgiving service called the Morning Dew has been held to mark the occasion. Now, the event attracted personalities from all walks of life.
The Morning Dew service is an interdenominational service by the House of Igbinedion held every New Year's Day and on the best days of the Esama of Benin Kingdom, Chief Gabriel Igbinedion. Even at 90, the tradition is still very much in place. It's a special convention for the clergy as the celebrant is renowned for his strong Christian faith. The governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, leads the roll call of dignitaries at the event. His guest speaker in his sermon urged the congregation to always have the heart of a child.
The childlike spirit must not die. The childlike spirit must remain. And if there is any challenge for our Papa at 90, the challenge is that even in old age, you are to continue with the heart of a child.
Other ministers of God are not left out in the prayer session for the non-Nigerian.
As you have identified with everyone, heaven will always identify with you. May God increase you on every side. I pray that God's manifold grace and wisdom will continually work in you, that which is most pleasing to Him, and that His blessing and honor will continually be upon you, upon your family, upon your life's work, in the name of the Lord Jesus.
One of the children, Mike Igbinedion, on behalf of the family, pays tribute to their father.
We, the family, will forever live in the glory of yours, for it is our heritage that you have bestowed upon us. And on behalf of the family, we thank you profoundly for all you continue to do for us, for all the plans
for everything you do.
Born on September 11, 1934, Chief Gabriel Esama of Benin has built a conglomerate over the years, spanning across various sectors, education, oil and gas, among others.
Business News is up next with Will Ibong.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Welcome to Business News. The Naira made its biggest jump in nearly 2 months after the federal government's debut domestic dollar bond issue, which was oversubscribed by over 180%. And this surge in demand boosted the currency significantly. According to President's advisor on media, Mr. Bayo Nanuga, the Naira surged by 4.8% against the dollar on Wednesday, closing at 1,558 Naira per dollar. And this marks the strongest level since August 21st. On Wednesday, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, revealed that the government raised $900 million from the bond sale, nearly double the initial target. Meanwhile, the Naira strengthened at the NAFEX market, but eased at the NAFEM window at the close of trade today. Let's head to the domestic stock market now, where the market ended on a positive note as it regained the 97,000 level. Inija Mekwa has the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, today we see a recovery at the NGX. Let's look at the top trades. Access Coal led today. 80 million in volume is what we see. FBN Holdings still in the financial services. 51 million, and UBA. That's why this is the most liquid counter. Talking about banking right there. Let's look at the sectors. Of course, as expected, banking is up 1.52%. That's for banking in the green. Consumer goods sustained yesterday's sentiment. Flour Mill, Honeywell, Nestle. And we see Dangote missing right there today, but they did so well yesterday. And for the first time this week, we see oil and gas down 0.63%. Yes, O&O drove that again. And unfortunately, even the gains on Japan Gold and Eternal Oil was not able to do that. But the good news today is that the market cap gained 178 billion naira, and the oil share is back to the 97,000 point. We've been waiting for that for a bit. So 97,025.17, up 0.32%. So we don't know how long this will last, but we're happy at least at the close of today's trade. It's the bull.
And that's it on business. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you so much, Will. Morocco's health ministry has confirmed its first case of Mpox in the city of Marrakesh. This comes a month after the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. Here's Simon Pusey with other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says 6 of its employees have been killed in an Israeli airstrike on one of the schools it runs in central Gaza. Gaza's civil defense spokesperson said 18 people were killed in the strike on Al-Juni school in Nusrat refugee camp, which is being used as a shelter by thousands of displaced Palestinians. Israel's military says it carried out what it called a precise strike on terrorists planning attacks from the school, and that it had taken measures to avoid harm to civilians. UNRWA said the attack marked the highest death toll among our staff in a single incident since the start of the war. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy says the delivery of Iranian missiles to Russia has changed the debate about Ukraine using Western-provided long-range missiles against targets inside Russia. Mr. Lammy travelled to the Ukrainian capital with the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken after talks in London. They met President Volodymyr Zelensky, who has repeatedly called for allies to loosen limits on the use of Western-supplied weapons. The US and UK have so far not given Ukraine permission to use long-range missiles against targets inside Russia for fear of escalation.
And today I can confirm more than 600 million worth of support for Ukraine, including 242 million this financial year for immediate humanitarian energy and stabilisation needs, as well as support for reform, recovery and reconstruction.
Peru's former president, Alberto Fujimori, who was convicted of human rights abuses and corruption, has died at the age of 86. Fujimori governed Peru between 1990 and 2000 before being forced from office amid allegations of corruption. His tough stance against a left-wing guerrilla insurgency while president also brought allegations of human rights abuses. But his supporters praise him for defeating the rebels at a time when they looked likely to seize power. He fled the country but was subsequently arrested and extradited before being convicted and jailed. Growing NHS England waiting times and delays getting emergency treatment are costing lives. That's according to a critical government-commissioned report on the National Health Service. People have every right to be angry, Keir Starmer said, adding the health service must reform or die. Health Secretary Wes Streeting has warned the NHS could go bust if the government does not reform it to account for an ageing society, more sick people and rising costs. He pledged to spend a greater proportion of the NHS budget on GPs, social care and community services than on hospitals, which he said would help alleviate pressure on the service overall.
The last government broke the NHS. Until this morning, we didn't know the full scale of the damage, which is laid bare in the report. Even Lord Darcy, with all his years of experience, is shocked by what is discovered. It is unforgivable, and people have every right to be angry.
The rock legend John Bon Jovi has been praised by police for helping a woman in distress who was on the ledge of a bridge in Nashville in Tennessee. The Metropolitan Nashville Police Department shared a video of the Bon Jovi frontman and his team who were at the John Seigenthaler pedestrian bridge when the woman was standing precariously over the Cumberland River. In the video, a woman in blue can be seen holding onto the railing while standing on the ledge. Bon Jovi then walks over to the woman with someone else as his team stand further away. The singer then can be seen waving hello at her and leaning on the railing near her. He eventually hugs the lady after she moves across the railing to safety. And finally, a New Zealand women's rugby player surprised King Charles after asking him for a hug at Buckingham Palace. The King was being introduced to the Black Ferns at Buckingham Palace when he was asked for an embrace by the winger Aisha Leteliga. After initially looking surprised, he said, "Why not?" before being affectionately mobbed by the group of players. Afterwards, he told the group it was like being flattened by a scrum. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, has officially declared the 8th National Youth Games open earlier today at the Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba, the Delta State capital. The multi-sport event, strictly for athletes 15 years of age and below, will see athletes from all the states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, compete in 36 sports events. The minister called on all participating states to embody the spirit of fair play and sportsmanship. Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag has responded to the comments made by Cristiano Ronaldo about the Red Devils not being able to win the Premier League, saying he is far away from Manchester. Coach ten Hag says the team is in a transition period as well as dealing with injuries, but this cannot be used as an excuse. The hearing into Manchester City's 115 alleged breaches of Premier League financial regulations will begin on Monday next week. City will refer to an independent commission over the alleged breaches, which go back to the 2009-2010 campaign in February 2023. The club is alleged to have breached rules relating to the provision of accurate financial information. And Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has signed a contract extension until 2027. The 42-year-old, a former player with the Gunners, has impressed since replacing Unai Emery in 2019, winning the FA Cup in 2020, as well as finishing runner-up in the Premier League in the last 2 seasons. Arsenal make the short trip to Tottenham for the North London derby on Sunday. And the independent prosecutor appointed by the World Anti-Doping Agency to look into its handling of the doping allegations involving 23 Chinese swimmers has cleared the body of wrongdoing. A Swiss lawyer, Eric Courtier, says WADA had done its work autonomously and independently and also professionally, and also criticized China's National Anti-Doping Agency, CHINADA, for not following rules. Fast Hit on Sports is back to you, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Chris. And the main news again. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, have said that 414,000 people have been affected, with 37 already dead in the Borno state flood disaster. Well, NEMA also said search and rescue operations are still ongoing. Health Minister Professor Ali Pate has assured the nation that emergency medical supplies will be dispatched to Maiduguri in the next 3 days. Professor Pate told Channels Television exclusively that efforts are being made to replace over 2 million doses of vaccines lost to the floods. 17 out of 18 political parties contesting the September 21st governorship election in Edo State have signed a peace accord ahead of the poll, as the Edo State PDP chairman Anthony Azigbemi and the party's candidate Asue Igodalo declined to sign the peace accord. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balukon. Do have a good night and please stay safe.